The foundational work of Stephen Porges continues to shape teaching and clinical protocols. For years, it was thought that the nervous system was a simple on-off mechanism, an automatic function, not under conscious control, which is why it was called the autonomic nervous system. We were taught that the sympathetic nervous system, also called fight-or-flight response, was something to be kept in check by the parasympathetic, the rest and digest part of the nervous system. In the book, The Upside of Stress, Kelly McGonigal offers a much-needed and updated look at the role of how we can use stress to build resilience and to increase levels of physical and mental health. Dr. Daniel Siegel coined the term window of tolerance to explain the time before the stress response reaches unhealthy levels and causes either some degree of shutdown or emotional hijacking, one extreme or the other. A regional term I recently heard described having a come apart, which made me think of a window of tolerance. Dr. Rady discusses the idea of stress inoculation as rooted in the biology of cells. Our cellular structure and function can improve with some degrees of stress. Since some stress does build resilience at the cellular level, there certainly is an upside. Consider that a butterfly grows from a caterpillar into a chrysalis, but then it must work hard, flapping its wings so it can emerge from the hard casing, dry off, and fly away. All of this work makes it stronger and ready for what is to come. The same is true as baby birds peck out of their shells. Working hard to emerge from the egg is key in their development. Stephen Porges' body of peer-reviewed scientific work, embraced and cited by many of the top trauma researchers today, expands our understanding of the nervous system and therefore lends clear guidance to anyone working in trauma recovery. Rather than an on-off switch or a hot-cold way of thinking about the nervous system, Dr. Porges has proposed the Polyvagal Theory, which builds on the fact that our 10th cranial nerve, called the vagus nerve or the pneumogastric by Charles Darwin in the late 1800s, regulates autonomic function. The vagus nerve is the primary nerve in the parasympathetic part of the autonomic nervous system. Some of you might be interested in knowing that the vagus nerve has different neural pathways. These pathways connect the brainstem areas to areas in the body that include the neck, chest, and abdomen. Some technical science, but stick with me for the relevant point. What's happening in our nervous systems, if we are feeling excited or feeling scared or even feeling nothing at all, is expressed in our voices and facial expressions. It even affects the muscles around the middle ear. That's a quick overview, but now let's look a bit more closely at the polyvagal theory and then circle back to how this understanding can help us with trauma recovery. The polyvagal theory states that mammalian responses to stimuli are organized in a three-tiered system based on evolutionary development. The polyvagal theory focuses on these changes as seen in mammals. We discussed the instinctive survival response from the reptilian brain of freezing or dissociating. The next level of response comes from the limbic system and is called fight or flight. Here is the point at which Dr. Porges expands the on-off model of the nervous system. If you have ever tried to comfort someone, the third tier of the polyvagal theory will sound like, well, common sense. Only mammals use cues from other mammals to self-regulate. How do we do that? We look at faces, we listen to voices or to growls. We assess situations based on facial expressions and tones of voices of others. Is someone signaling safety or danger? You can probably think of several examples. The feeling you get when talking to someone who is wearing reflective sunglasses and you can't see their eyes, or how talking to a dog in a certain tone of voice can make her tail wag, even though you haven't done anything. And here is the exciting point that the polyvagal theory brings front and center in thinking about treating trauma. The first two responses, freeze or fight or flight, can be overridden in mammals by activating something Dr. Porges calls the social engagement system, that third-tier response. But how? Mammals developed a faster myelinated pathway, which, as Dr. Porges explains, connects to the facial muscles, to the larynx in the throat, and to the muscles controlling the tympanic membrane in the middle ear. To review, these neuronal pathways are why feelings of safety affect how we sound, our facial expressions, and how our inner ears process sound. If you like, use a warning tone to say, "Look over there." Now say the same words, "Look over there," as if indicating a beautiful sunset to a friend. If someone could see your face as you said these words, they could probably see the stress or the sense of safety in your facial features. It is of note that in a stressed state, someone may only hear low, deep tones as a danger detection default. You may be thinking about a child who had a caregiver that lacked the ability to convey these safety cues, and as a result, the child failed to develop critical self-regulation skills early in life. You may also be thinking about your voice as a strong, trauma-informed teaching tool. You may be thinking it's well worth your time to take a few minutes, record yourself teaching one short yoga break, then listen to how you sound. You can learn a lot about how you are affecting the sense of safety in a room by this simple teaching exercise. Again, it is body physiology. So, to sum up Dr. Porges' key point, polyvagal theory considers that the human connection is a biological imperative. That's right, human connection is a biological imperative. Why? Because we use other humans to co-regulate. That is, to help us navigate our world and our feelings in a way that allows us to use our resources to maintain mental and physical health. Daniel Siegel has devoted his research to the field of interpersonal neurobiology, how our connection with others, our ability to self-regulate, in fact shapes our brain and therefore shapes who we are. His many books provide insights and data into this emerging field. Vivek H. Murthy, MD, who has served as Surgeon General under 2 presidents, published a book in 2021, Together, The Healing Power of Human Connection in a Sometimes Lonely World. After much review of research, Dr. Murthy concluded that our drive to connect is one of our most important survival instincts. Again and again, because it is a key point in trauma recovery, we use others to self-regulate. Dr. Porges' use of a stoplight metaphor is instructive. In a healthy, adaptive brain, signals are clearly processed. Does a situation warrant a more immediate, faster response of freezing, fighting, or fleeing? Or is someone able to activate the social engagement system to override the 2 other responses, feeling that it is safe to take the time to make an informed, more balanced decision? The trauma component is that our personal sense of safety is important to both our physical and mental health. It is body physiology. Okay, we now have a sense of how a healthy brain can function. Now, if you like, give yourself 2 minutes to practice building your resiliency skills before we discuss what trauma can do to a sense of safety. When you are ready, step your feet apart, hands on your hips, as we do the wide-legged add-on stretch. In whatever way feels comfortable, move one hip to one side, then move the other hip to the other side. We move slowly so you can find a better way to move. Today, you might like to add lifting your shoulder in a gentle arc as you move to one side. Then lift the other shoulder in a gentle arc as you move the other hip to the side. Find your own rhythm as you move from side to side. Always move in a comfortable way. When you are ready, come back to standing tall. When you are ready, put your hands by your sides as you gently press one shoulder back, then press the other shoulder back. Longer breaths in can be energizing. The suggestion is to practice 3 breaths. As you breathe in, fingers stretch. As you breathe out, release. As you breathe in, fingers stretch. As you breathe out, release. As you breathe in, fingers stretch. As you breathe out, release. If you like, gently move the fingers on one hand or shake that hand. Then gently move the fingers on the other hand or shake that hand. Let your hands be as still as you would like them to be. If you like, give yourself a few moments to notice how you feel. Now on to the next section.